huge John Deere dealership there that they've just opened, and all the guys that did the football game on Sherburne the other night packed up all the stuff that I have. Yeah, it was like, this.
Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 25th, 2015. This is the Fairmont Area School Board. Our roll call this evening are Nicole Green and Danielle Schutz will be absent from the meeting, but we do have a quorum, so we will conduct our business as printed on the green sheets. So please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting, which was on August 11th, 2015?
I would move to approve.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. I have a motion by Julie, second by Dan, to approve the August 11th, 2015 school board meeting minutes as printed. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then on the agenda this evening, you should have a green agenda in front of you. There's just one little correction to make under employment B2. The effective date should be August 27th and not September 8th, and we'll approve that later. Any other additions or corrections to the agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I would approve the agenda with that correction on it.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rufus. I have a motion by Julie, second by Rufus, to approve the August 25th, 2015 school board meeting agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Oh, I was just informed we have another correction, so we're going to have to go back and redo our agenda here. On celebrations and school community reports, Chartwell's food service. Jackie LeMay is unable to be here this evening, so we will reschedule that one. So we'll take that off the agenda.
I would amend my motion to include that correction.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rufus. So I have amendment by Julie and the second by Rufus on taking Chartwell's off of the school and community reports. Any further additions, corrections? All right. If there's nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. So then we'll move to the celebrations and school and community reports. And we have Kim Niss here this evening to talk about the high school back to conferences and getting ready for school to start in a few days.
We are fast and furious, as I've said. So I just want to, really I came here to truly invite the board and invite the entire community to our back to school conferences this year. We are doing things very different this year at the junior senior high school in terms of conferences. The one thing that I've been stressing to the different organizations that I've been speaking to is this conference date next Wednesday, September 2nd, does replace our two fall conference or our conference nights that we have normally had in October. And so this is the replacement for those conferences. Since I began in this position, we've been tracking the data in terms of the number of families we've had attending conferences, and our numbers are really, really low. And we have tried different things to encourage better participation at the conferences. And really, we were averaging about 6 families per teacher. And so we put together a committee last year to really maybe look at things differently. And we kind of started with the why to conferences. And as long as when I went to school, conferences were around, and truly in the past, conferences were put into place, and that was the first time a parent really learned of their child's progress. And now with technology, that's really changed that. And then we also know that parents like to come to conferences simply to meet the teachers and to understand the classroom setup better. And so we kind of just took that information and decided that instead of waiting until October for the parents to meet the teachers, we decided to do it prior to school starting. And we really want it to be a celebration, and we really want to involve our community. And so what I want the community to know is that you don't need to have a child in school to attend our back-to-school conferences. So if you kind of take a look, the chamber actually partnered with us in creating these flyers for us to be put up around town. And the back-to-school conference will actually begin at noon, but from noon to 3, we are doing scheduled meetings during that time. So we will be scheduling meetings with families during the 12 to 3 o'clock time frame. And then starting at 3:15, we have a variety of different presentations that will be going on. And again, anybody from the community, if you're at all just interested in finding out what our online learning lab is, you can come into the school that day and just hear about what we have to offer. So we have the online learning lab, Skyward and grading will be discussed in the media center. The 7th grade teachers, many of them are using Google Classroom, so we're doing a session on that for parents to see and to learn and understand that better. We'll have a 9th grade transition meeting led by our counselors, and then Holly Christian, our technology integrationist, will be doing a session on social media. And during that time frame too, there will be open conferences in the teacher's classroom. So if parents would still like to go meet with the teacher, they can do so during that time. You'll notice here we have Meet the Teachers contest on there a few times. That's where we're going to do a teacher scavenger hunt, kind of bingo style, but really it's to get to know the teachers better. So to find a teacher that likes to hunt, to find a teacher who's traveled to a different country, and just to get to know something a little bit about the teachers beyond just being their teacher in the classroom. And then we'll have more presentations starting at that 4:15 time frame. That's when we'll do the big 7th grade orientation. We do know how extremely important that is for our 7th graders. Again, our counselors will lead a new student orientation. There'll be a Moodle session. At the junior senior high school, we really support two management systems for our or we have teacher management systems. One is Moodle and one is Google Classroom. And so we'll do a Moodle presentation during that time frame. Vocational wing tour, again, if you're interested to see what we have in the vocational wing. And then again, another Skyward grading and open conferences. That leads into...
Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
Are these like come and go sessions then, or do you pick one and just go to that for the 45 minutes?
We always love the philosophy of vote with your feet. Like we're never, like if you go to a session and you're just like, ooh, this isn't what I quite thought it was, we would encourage, vote with your feet, get up and move on, or, maybe go to a different session.
So then you could almost go to all of these
Yeah.
depending on what kind of information you're looking
Yeah,
for.
exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, exactly. And then at 5 o'clock is kind of the big, because really technically we have to give our teachers it's time for, time to eat within their day. And so we're going to do a community tailgate, again, encouraging the entire community to come and have supper with us at the junior senior high school. El Agave will be the sponsor for this. They'll be serving tacos and quesadillas. We're also going to have tables set up in the horseshoe that really showcases all the extracurricular activities, all the activities that we have for kids to be involved with. So their advisor will be there along with just students from those different organizations so people can learn more information about them. And then at 6 o'clock, the Fall Pep Fest. Normally we've had the Fall Pep Fest in Downtown Plaza, and we didn't mean to take it away from Downtown Plaza, but it was scheduled for this Thursday night, which is also the date of the Top 20 presentation for families. And so instead of having those two events conflict, we moved the Fall Pep Fest to the horseshoe area and put it with our back-to-school conferences. So the Fall Pep Fest will begin at 6 o'clock. Again, we'll have the teachers all out there. Adults can also take part in the Meet the Teachers contest. And then starting, then we'll transition back into the building and then do a mock schedule. And I know that's really important for the 7th graders and new students, that they can actually hear the bells, know what 5 minutes feels like, walk through their schedule so they're familiar with it prior to the first day. And then for anybody that completes the Meet the Teacher contest, they will be put into a drawing for a free activity pass. So, and again, I would encourage, invite school board, but just to let the community know, we are just really want to make this a fun event, really create excitement. I know for me, this is my favorite time of the year. And so just really to bring that excitement as kids come back to school.
So if the community's interested in coming, they wouldn't have to come for the whole night.
Absolutely not.
They could come for part of these sessions,
Yes.
and then maybe
Yeah.
go or come for the supper and stay for the pep fest or.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like if you wanted to come just to hear about that social media piece,
Mm-hmm.
you could come hear about that, leave, come back to the tailgate, stay for the Fall Pep Fest, and go from that. So very much come and go, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you're interested in, what maybe you're not interested in. I do know that we'll have a few of our band students, not the whole band or pep, out playing like during the Fall Pep Fest and tailgate, and then also the band boosters will be selling the Cardinal apparel during that time too. So that will be also going on.
I think that's an
So-
awesome way to get our
Yeah.
community to even see what's happening in our schools.
Right.
Perfect. That's
Right,
excellent.
and again, I'm here for anybody watching, we really, really, really want to encourage community involvement with our school. We'll also have our different volunteer sheet, again, if they would be interested in volunteering through the year, just so they would know what would be available. They wouldn't have to, but just they know what's available. And again, we want to really be open to the community. So we very much appreciate their support, so
Great idea.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Very cool.
Appreciate the ones that worked and came up with that, because this is just really a great idea.
Yeah,
Yes,
and let me
agreed.
give credit to, where credit is due, the committee, the whole junior, senior high school had input on this. We recognized the need, we did more research, we brought a committee together. But Ann Holm was on that committee, Wendy Tonder, Matt Mahoney, and then Joe Strukel was on that committee as well. So they did great work and great ideas. So, and the community's been great. The chamber, like I said, they created the posters. They're willing to hang them up. They're putting it in their newsletter. I know the Sentinel, so Judy's gonna have an article in the paper on Saturday, and the Photo Press is also supporting getting this word out. So thank you very much.
Excellent. I just now hope the community takes advantage of
I know.
this.
So do
and-
we.
Yes.
We want them
Right.
at the junior, senior high school on this night, even if it's for the tailgate and the pep fest. We just come on out. We're really looking for a fun environment.
Well, I know the Pep Fest usually gets a bunch of people
Yeah.
when I've been there, so.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim. All right, then we'll move on to the superintendent's report and calendar. Superintendent Brown?
Thanks, Diane. I'm going to pass out a little sheet here. In the last couple of weeks, Chartwell's has been gracious to serve as providing meals for the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club needed a place to meet since the Serenades closed. And so for the past 2 weeks, the Rotary Club has met in the elementary 3 through 6 cafeteria for the last 2 Mondays. And Jackie LeMay, our food service director, she actually was our guest speaker on August 17th, and they catered the meals for both meetings and did a very nice job. And I want to thank Chartwell's for that. Our district technology committee met last week and updated the technology internet acceptable use policy. And this policy will be reviewed and considered at a policy meeting that's scheduled for this Friday, August 28th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that will be a short meeting right in front of our staff welfare committee meeting. And then the MSBA, the Minnesota School Board Association, is conducting their statewide advocacy tour on Thursday, September the 10th. And they're going to be in North Mankato at 5 o'clock at night. And that will be held at the South Central Service Cooperative. And I'd like to go to that. And if anybody else wants to go, we can maybe carpool and go up to that. This is the purpose of these early meetings are to start setting the legislative agenda for the 2016 legislative session. And what's neat about this is that this is the first meeting they're having statewide. It's going to be right there in Mankato. And then following the school board meeting tonight, after we've completed our hiring of our staff and our teaching and support staff, I just want to recognize the fact that throughout the summer we've had a huge change of staffing. We're going to end up with 30 new people working for us, but and 30 of these positions are replacement positions. There's only one that's actually a new position. That's Jody Christensen, who's going to be serving as the implementer, helping to implement the new elementary reading curriculum. But we're going to have 10 new elementary faculty, 9 new secondary faculty, 1 new administrative assistant at the high school, 5 new special education paraprofessionals, 1 new ECFE early childhood family education aide, 3 new Title I aides, 1 new reading interventionist aide, 1 new PAC manager, and it's a total of 31. And of these teachers, by the way, 1 is on a limited license, 2 are community experts, and 4 are on variances. We have some special education teachers that are teaching, and these 4 individuals, including the 2 community experts, we actually have 6 teachers that are going back and to obtain additional education in order to get their proper license that they need to complete within the next 2 years. So it's been a very busy summer, and once again, I want to publicly thank all of the teachers and all of the administrators that served on the interview committees this summer. It's been a very busy summer. That's it.
All right, any questions for Superintendent Brown? Thank you for your report. Okay, we're going to move to financial business. We have some donations. Dan, would you like to go through those?
The first is in Appendix A, and I would introduce the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Fairmont Firefighter Relief has donated $1,350 to CER in support of the Boys and Girls Elementary Basketball Program. Whereas no conditions are placed on the gift. Therefore, be it resolved by the Fairmont Area School Board to gratefully accept the gift.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. So I have Dan introducing the resolution and Julie with the second. And then we have to voice vote on that. Dan?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Julie?
Aye.
Rufus?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted, and we thank the Firefighter Relief Program for their support of CER basketball.
And we have a second that's in Appendix B. I would introduce the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas Sweet Financial has donated an Epson Brightlink Pro 1430Y projector valued at $2,999. And whereas no conditions are placed on the gift, therefore be it resolved by the Fairmont Area School Board to gratefully accept the gift.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rufus. I have a question, like what is that?
It's it's kind of like a smart board. When they expanded their office area, they were going to set up 2 conference rooms with 2 really nice projection units. And when they ended up completing their project, they only needed 1. And so they called us and asked if we would have a need for it. And I went and picked it up, and we gave them a receipt, and I took it over to the high school. So the high school still needs to find a home for it, but it could go into a classroom or a conference room. It was a very, very good gift.
Very cool. All right, so then we vote on that. Dan?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Julie?
Aye.
Rufus?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted, and we thank Sweet Financial for that donation. All right, next on the agenda are the financial reports and bills, and Sue Nelson is here to talk about those. Good evening.
Right. Tonight on the agenda, we have the approval of the wire transfers from August 7th through August 20th and the payment of the August 25th bills. So if you find your wire document, there's just 3 wires that happened during from August 7th through the 20th. The first one for $164 is our RevTrak fees from the prior month transactions. Then we received $8,020 for our Pathways 2 early learning scholarships for summer programming, and then a revenue share from Commerce Bank of $296. Okay, then you would have 2 registers dated August 25th. One just has 2 different payments on it, starting with Clifton Larson Allen, and that's for FY15. So we're still dealing with 2 fiscal years. We're just about winding down on our accounts payable. So this one to Clifton Larson Allen is for auditing services for FY15, and the auditors arrived on site yesterday and will be here all week. Okay, then the other register that starts with Dick Blick, those are for FY16. And I just have a couple to bring to your attention. Check number 57-447 made out to Davis Typewriter. We bought a bunch of banquet tables at the high school, so when they have different events, they're able to use those tables versus renting those. Okay, and then check number 57-475 made out to STEP. This is for some special ed students that have vocational rehabilitation or voc rehab as part of their IEP. Previously, these were all paid for by Southern Plains, and then they would bill us throughout the year. And so we made a change beginning for FY16 that those would be just direct billed to us, and we would pay those directly. And then check number 57,478, made out to Winning Edge Seminars. This is for a target expense with our target group at the high school, and it is training for our student leaders. That will be held on September 2nd. Do you have any questions on either of the registers or the wires? Julie and I did meet prior to the board meeting to review everything.
Any questions for Sue or?
If there are no questions for Sue or for myself on these, I would then bring forth a motion to approve with the wire transfers for 8/7/15 to 8/20/2015 and payment of the August 25th, 2015 bills.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rufus. I have a motion by Julie, second by Rufus, to approve the financial report as printed in Appendix A and B and as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sue. Next is truth and taxation hearing, Julie.
Yes, as with an annual event for our board and for many public entities, a public meeting must be held to discuss and approve the 2015 payable 2016 levy. And because of that, it needs to be held on a preset date. And so because of just kind of the past practice, we are looking at having it on December 15th and then working other board meetings around that. The hearing must begin at 6 o'clock or later. It cannot start before that time. And so because of that, I'd like to make a motion to approve scheduling the truth and taxation hearing for Tuesday, December 15th, 2015 after 6 p.m.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Motion by Julie, second by Dan, to approve the truth and taxation hearing for Tuesday, December 15th at after 6 p.m. And in a little bit, we'll talk about the rest of the board meeting. So any other questions about that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then we have no old business, but we have some new business, which is the Fairmont Elementary Family Handbook. And Jim Davison is here to talk about that, and it's Appendix C in your packets.
Good afternoon, everybody. I bring to you a family handbook, but before we begin, I'd like to thank Diane Gerhardt publicly for putting together this structure. We had in the past a discipline policy that included many of these things, and Diane, in her own time, spent time and went through all the other papers we had and added real salient elements all the way through that you'll see. And I want to publicly thank Diane for doing that. Because then we met with Mrs. Rosen, we sat down together, and we went through this painstakingly, making sure that it was clear and concise. And what we ended up with was a family handbook that I've already gotten several compliments from parents on. We gave some copies to preliminarily and told them it was a draft format when we had registration, and it is online currently. And there are a few changes that need to be made in it on an ongoing basis, like a lot of these do. But what I want to do is bring it forth tonight for your approval. To begin with, if you turn to page 2 through page 4, the top of page 4 is our discipline policy. That has not changed from the previous years. And if the board will remember, our discipline policy is based on positive behavior and support. Our home focus on the elementary school is that we know that we have children that are coming in that are learning. And so it's our main job to focus and teach kids exactly what social skills are appropriate and which aren't, and move them forward toward being a good citizen. And that's a very important element with our school. We take that very seriously. And we want to make sure that kids, by the time they exit our school, are good citizens and ready to move on for 7th grade through 12th grade. So if you take a look, we've gone through and we've looked this over again. We've had some parent groups take a look. And one of the interesting things is we have this established where we have it broken down into student responsibilities, parent responsibilities, and the teacher code of ethics and teacher responsibilities. And I believe that's a very important element, because that way everybody in the community can see exactly that we are all bound together for the sole purpose of making sure that all the children in our community are educated, and make sure that the discipline policy and the social skills that we teach children are very important, and they will end up reaping great benefits for us as we move forward. So that's the first policy with that. We have fulfilled all the obligations that are required by state statute. One of the obligations is to make sure that we have a teacher group to look over this, to make sure that it's okay. And we sent it out to everybody this year. because of the changes in the format, and asked for feedback, and we did get some feedback. The main feedback we got was from our social worker, who said there were some changes in the attendance law. So we updated that and changed some things with the attendance law with that. Everybody else said it looked good, and as I mentioned earlier, parents are really liking that it's one-stop shopping. And it's also online, so it's easy access for everybody to get to. Going through, you'll notice that they are broken up into A through Z. Interesting how that goes. But if you look through them, and I won't spend any time looking at all of them, but we have attendance and bullying, and if you keep going forth, bus behavior policies, use of canine units in the school, chemical use, tobacco products, damage to property, and so on, all the way through. And to the one item I do want to point out, make sure I get this correct, is V on page 13, technology and internet acceptable use and safety policy. The board will be addressing that. What we're going to be doing is keeping this policy as is, but as the board has its readings and hopefully approval of our new policies in the coming weeks, we will update this accordingly to make sure that we match what the board's policy is and the district policy is. So I bring this to you and ask if you have any questions, and I would ask for your approval.
Any questions about the Fairmont Elementary Handbook?
And thanks again, Diane.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Appreciate this.
I really like the name of it, rather than just discipline policy. I like the idea of a handbook.
And I like the family.
Yes.
You know, so it includes the student and the parents, letting them know that they're all part of that,
Absolutely.
process and that, so.
All right, any other questions or?
Pretty concise.
Yep. Well, I'd offer the motion to approve the 2015-16 Fairmont Elementary Family Handbook as presented in Appendix C. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. So I have a motion by Diana, second by Julie to approve the Family Handbook for Fairmont Elementary. And thanks, Mr. Davison, for bringing it here this evening. And,
Thank you.
And any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Diane, for your work.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, then December board meetings, we kind of touched on that a little bit, but with the Truth and Taxation meeting being scheduled for December 15th, and the holidays falling in there, I'm going to offer a motion to approve canceling the regularly scheduled board meetings for December 8th and 22nd, and then scheduling the meeting for December 15th at 5 p.m. For the regular board meeting, and with the Truth and Taxation hearing to follow at 6 p.m. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. So a motion by Diana, second by Dan to approve the changes, cancel the 8th and 22nd of December board meetings and just schedule one for December 15th. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, then we're going to move on to some personnel issues. We have a resignation of Juanita Heckman. She's a title aide, and that's effective August 13th. So I would offer the motion to approve the resignation of Juanita Heckman, effective August 13th. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rufus. So I have a motion by Diana, second by Rufus to approve that resignation of Juanita Heckman. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then, as Superintendent Brown mentioned, we have quite a few employments to talk about. And Rufus, would you share those with us?
Yes, I will. Christina Haney was a ECFE teacher last year whose contract was terminated due to unknown enrollment this fall. At this time, Michelle Rosen is recommending that Christina be rehired under a 26% contract. She'll be teaching the ECFE parent-child classes and Discovery Place. I offer a motion to approve the employment of Christina Haney as an ECFE teacher under a 26% contract salary of BA Step 2.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rufus and Julie. So I have a motion by Rufus and a second by Julie to approve the employment of Christina Haney. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second one.
Superintendent Brown is recommending that Eric Walker be hired as PAC manager, replacing Keisha Glinke. Eric will be contracted to work approximately 350 hours at a salary not to exceed $10,000, including fringe benefits. He is a graduate of Concordia University in Moorhead. In addition to his PAC responsibilities, he will also be a substitute he'll be doing substitute teaching and assisting with our high school speech program. I offer a motion to approve the employment of Eric Walker as a PAC manager for the 2015-16 school year, effective August 27, 2015, at a salary of $25 an hour for approximately 350 hours.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. A motion by Rufus, second by Dan to approve the employment of Eric Walker. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next one?
In June, the board approved hiring 2 half-time custodians to work 4 months each year from December through March, beginning in December 2015. Dave Turnberg is recommending employment of the following: Terry Duffy as morning custodian at Fairmont Elementary. Terry has gained valuable experience in our district working as a substitute custodian for the past 8 years. I offer a motion to approve the employment of Terry Duffy as morning custodian at Fairmont Elementary for 4 months, December through March, beginning December 2015, at a salary of step 1 of the custodian salary schedule.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. Motion by Rufus, second by Julie to approve the employment of Terry Duffy as a morning custodian for 4 months. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then how about the next one?
The second custodian, I offer a motion to approve the employment of Jeff Majeski as evening custodian at the high school for 4 months, December through March, beginning December 2015, at a salary of step 1 of the custodian salary schedule.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. So I have a motion by Rufus, second by Dan to approve the employment of Jeff Majeski as the evening custodian for the 4 months. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next thing,
Refer to Appendix D, list of coaches for fall athletics. Matt Mahoney is recommending this list for fall athletics. Therefore, I offer a motion to approve this list of coaches.
thank you, Rufus. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Motion by Rufus, second by Dan to approve the employment of the fall athletic coaches as printed in Appendix D. Any further discussion on that item? There's several new
Yeah, I see that.
people in there too, so that's great. So all the positions look filled too, according to this, right? All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next,
Kim Niss is recommending that Tracy Lardy be hired as the high school dean of students. Tracy holds a BA degree in elementary education from Augustana College and a master's in business, organization, and management from Capella University. She brings a wide variety of experience to this position, including teaching elementary education for Fairmont schools, working as a consultant for the Blandon Company, serving as the organizational learning and staff development coordinator for Fairmont Mayo Health System, and serving as the director of Presentation College. I therefore offer a motion to approve the employment of Tracy Lardy as high school dean of students effective August 27, 2015, at a salary of MA step 16 plus 20 extended days.
thank you, Rufus. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. Motion by Rufus, second by Julie to approve the employment of Tracy Lardy as the high school dean of students. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next.
And Michelle Rosen is recommending that Carly Sonic be hired as the elementary social worker. She holds a BS degree in social work from St. Cloud State University and is a licensed school social worker. Her experience includes serving 3 years as a family preservation worker for Faribault Martin County Human Services and working 8 years as school social worker in Truman. For the past 4 years, she has served as Director of Social Services at Parkview Care Center in Wells. I offer a motion to approve the employment of Carly Sonic as elementary social worker effective August 27, 2015, at a salary of BA Step 9.
Thank you, Rufus. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Motion by Rufus, second by Dan to approve the employment of Carly Sonic as the elementary social worker. Any further discussion?
So basically, Joe, this is what we're not going to have a dean of students at the elementary school as we did last year, rather this position instead.
Right, and working with the principals, Jim and Michelle, they really felt that it's going to really be a team effort of those 4 people, of the 2 social workers and the 2 principals working on issues relating to both family issues and student issues. And they really felt that this was a better way to go, especially at the elementary level, because many of the things that elementary children are dealing with relates to family issues. And so we felt that was, but it's going to be a kind of a quad effort. Yep.
Well, I think we should probably back up. Since when we had our last meeting, we said we had our full staffing. But the day after our last meeting, both deans of students at the high school and at the elementary resigned to take other positions and due to retirement. So that means we had to hire.
We had a backfill, right. The high school dean of students is returning to New Mexico, where she had worked previously, and she actually retired from Minnesota schools, and her husband is retiring from St. James. And the elementary dean of students, he has been offered and has accepted a position as the elementary principal in St. James, and that's where Doug Storbeck was last year as an assistant principal. But St. James had a late retirement. Their high school principal retired 2 weeks ago, decided to go farm, and so the elementary principal went to the high school, and that opened up the position for elementary principal, and they contacted Doug Storbeck and asked if he would return. And so there's been a lot of movement, not just in our district, but I was with the my 12 colleagues the other day of the Big South Conference, and that was just a week and a half ago, and all of us were still looking for staff. There's just been a lot of movement here in Minnesota, and so it's not just us.
Mhm. So I have the motion by Rufus and a second by Dan to approve the employment of Carly Sonic. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the last one?
Michelle Rosen is recommending that Sherry Fritz be hired as ECFE aide. She will work 9 hours per week with the morning preschool program. She has worked with ECFE in the past as a substitute aide. I offer a motion to approve the employment of Sherry Fritz as an ECFE aide effective September 8, 2015.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. I have a motion by Rufus, second by Julie to approve the employment of Sherry Fritz as an ECFE aide. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll move to board and committee reports, and the athletic council met recently, Dan?
Yeah, the athletic council met a week ago Tuesday. A lot of that was just the coaches getting things ready for the fall season. We did talk, as we did in our meeting back on the 11th, about the Why We Play program, and a lot of the coaches are taking that with them, the idea of putting all the different words on the board and picking out the 3 that are important to use. So that was discussed a little bit, and just generally getting everything ready for the new year. They also are looking for one of the coaches to be a rep to the parent board, that they get together and talk about different things too. So that, and they had bloodborne pathogen training, which I didn't need, so I didn't go to.
All right. Any questions for Dan on athletic council? Okay, then we have special education board meeting, Julie?
Yes, the spec board met last night, and just covered our regular business. We did welcome a new member last night with the addition of USC, United South Central, into the Southern Plains cooperative, and so we have a new member from their school district that's representing them, Mike Schrader. And so we welcomed him. We had a presentation by Stephanie Schmitz, and what she presented on last night was an update on the all the programs now that are based out of the Winnebago School District site. most of the moving is done. They're still working on unpacking and putting things where they are. The question was raised during the meeting, are you going to leave things where they are and, right now? And they said, we just kind of wait and see. We may need to move things around to what works best as the year goes on and that. But they're working hard at getting school ready and things in place there for them. The other thing, we had several resignations from our staff there as well. So yes, Superintendent Brown, you're correct. We had lots of hirings as well. There was 12 hirings we did, 7 resignations and 12 hirings. So there is a lot of movement within school districts right now at this time. A couple people that were approved for lane changes. Some new business we agreed on and approved the technology service agreement, which we had approved prior. Also approved a physical therapy services agreement, some policy agreements, revised the cooperative's educational calendar. The Winnebago site is hiring a school resource officer from the city of Winnebago to kind of come through and be a part of the school day for the students there. He's hired on a limited contract, but he'll be coming and going just kind of as needed. The Winnebago police force will also be part of that as well, but we've got somebody kind of as just being the resource officer at this time. Just went through some regular organizational items that we normally do. You can do them either at the first of the year, you can do the organizational items, or we did ours for the first meeting of the fiscal year here. So we also approved the educational center's student handbooks, and then agreed also some agreements for some special ed teacher sharing time and also sharing a cook between Grenade Huntley East Chain. So a lot of stuff was covered at that meeting, but it's always interesting and good to see, and be interesting to see how things go. I would like to thank, I know that was brought up at the meeting when Stephanie gave her presentation, the family members of the staff of Southern Plains, those that came in to help with the moving and stuff, because it, yes, we hired a professional to move, but it wouldn't be helpful with, I wouldn't be want to thank those that from families, because we all know when our families are part of our spouses or whatever, we all help in and chip in too. But thank you to those family members that helped with the staff to move the things and help that be successful in that for the students. So it's just a great work together team effort. So
We'll have to take another tour someday. And see
yes,
that new,
yeah, it'll be interesting
how
to see
that's
how it's
changed,
all. Yeah, it'll be interesting, and it'll be nice. They were saying how it just will cut down on travel time for the staff, and so in the future we may be looking at maybe some more things that we can bring people together, and so there's not so much travel, because a lot of times when you have travel, and that's where some of the resignations came from also, is because they were people who had jobs. Some had Welcome, some had at Lincoln School here in Fairmont, some were at Blue Earth site, different sites and stuff, but they resigned that position because they didn't want to make that move to Winnebago for whatever reason. And so, there again, that's their choice to do that as well, but that's what caused some of those open positions as well. But then it also opened up an opportunity for somebody else to have a position. So it's just awesome. And I think now, I don't know that I wrote it down, but I think pretty much almost all positions are filled. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 positions. I can't remember. And I think a paraprofessional and just some small things. But I think there is like 1 paraprofessional opening yet within the Southern Plains. So, but looking forward to getting the school year off to a great start.
Thank you, Julie. Is there anything else that needs to come? Do you want to go over the calendar quickly?
I do. I'd love to. Just a reminder that this Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll have a combination policy committee and a staff welfare committee at 4 o'clock in the business conference room. I'm just going to ask Sue, will the auditor still be there? Okay.
Hopefully not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. If they are still there, we'll find another location.
By
But,
4 o'clock on Friday, though, they may have found a way home by
very
then.
good. Yeah, 4 o'clock. Yeah, you're right. Just to remind parents, and of course remind students that are watching this, we do have school starting on Tuesday, September the 8th. That's our first day of school. It's a late start because of the late day of Labor Day. And by the way, I did see a report by the Minnesota Department of Ed. 2/3 of all the school districts in Minnesota are starting on Tuesday, September the 8th. 1/3 of the districts are starting before Labor Day. School districts were given an exemption late in the year when the legislature went back in a special session. And then on looking ahead, Thursday, September 17th, there's an operations committee meeting that will be held at 11 o'clock in the morning at the business office conference room. And that will be an important meeting as we go over the budget and the tax policy for next year. And just another reminder, I know this is the 15th reminder, but Top 20 is coming back into town, and they'll be here Thursday morning for our faculty and staff. And in the afternoon on Thursday, there is going to be a, let's see, on the 27th Thursday, yes, there's going to be a meeting with creating an effective and healthy workplace culture. That's for business people. There's a fee for that, but all the other meetings that they're having are open to the public and free of charge. More importantly, Thursday night, August 27th, from 5 to 6, there will be a light meal provided at the high school, and then from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Top 20 will be making a presentation that's really focused on parents, and students are also welcome to come to that. And then on Friday morning, they're going to do a very special presentation for leaders, and these are folks that are city council members, mayors, school board members, township trustees, county commissioners have been invited in the entire county, and we're hoping that some of you, if you're available to come that morning, come to this meeting. It's really focused on leadership. And then in the afternoon on the 28th, Top 20s will be having a special presentation for senior citizens. I think I could stay for that too. But anyway.
Is this open to those who have already received some training? If somebody has gone to a meeting in the past, are they welcome to come back again? Or is
Yes.
this just for some new people to come into these meetings?
It's really for both.
Okay.
If you've never been there, you're encouraged to come, but if you've been to one before, because they have a new book out, and I know that Paul Burnaby is actually working on his 5th book right now. They did publish a new book last summer, and that related to how to engage students in school. And he is working on a new book right now. And so it's ongoing, and it always changes. And I've been working with these people since 2003, so for the last 12 years. And a lot of the information is the same, but there's always a little bit of a tweak. And it's always a great way to start the school year. And it's not just for school. You know, the Top 20 is really for our community. And we are, in fact, in the book that they published last year, there's a special chapter in the back of the book that highlights Fairmont, Minnesota, because Fairmont, Minnesota is the first Top 20 community in the nation.
Well, I think it's a great way to be, you know, for even those who have gone through the training, just to refresh and kind of energize you again to maintain or to even do more for your community. So I think that's a great plan.
And remember Wednesday, September 2nd, if you want to visit the high school, there's lots of events going on there starting around 3 till 6:37. So put it on your calendars, and if you have a chance, run out there and see what's going on at the high school
Get a taco.
and get a taco.
Taco
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
Anything else that needs to come before the board? Well, then I would entertain a motion to maybe adjourn. How about
Adjourn to move the meeting? Or
You-
to
you
move to
moved to
adjourn?
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. I have a motion by Dan, second by Julie to approve adjourning the school board meeting at 5:47 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.